Hello guys and welcome to part 5 of my Anno 1800 beginner's guide. In today's video we're gonna cover the investors, all you need to know about them and how to maintain their needs. Investors are the end game population, so you will not be able to upgrade them further if you do not own the High Life DLC. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that you will need to provide is champagne. I have a few tons of champagne at the moment, but we need to make sure that we are producing it ourselves. As you can see, we don't have the grapes fertility on this island. This means that we need to find another one with the grapes fertility and start importing it to our main island where the investors are located. This island has the fertility, but it's really small. So let's find another one. This one has it as well, and it's not that small as the previous one. So let's check this big island over here. Most of the islands around have the fertility, but some of them are too far away. So let's find one that is not so far away and see if we can settle. I think this one is gonna be perfect. I think I'm gonna go and settle on this island. I'm gonna take some materials with me. We need timber and steel beams in order to build the trading post. I'm gonna bring over 150 tons of timber and 50 tons of steel beams. And now it's time to settle on a new island. We only gonna need farmers in order to produce the grapes. As you can see here, we need only farmers, and the glassmaker and champagne seller will be on our main island, so we only gonna bring over the grapes. Alright, I have built a small village here on our new island and fulfilled all the needs of the farmers. We have quite a lot of farmers, so let's go ahead and see what exactly we need in order to produce the grapes. We need only 10 farmers per plantation. So let's build our first plantation like around here. In our village we have a fire going on, and of course I forgot to build a fire station. So let's build one quickly. Now we built the vineyard. I think 2 should be enough, but if not we can always build more. We also need to make the fields, so let's do that over here. And of course we need a small warehouse where they can store the grapes. 2 vineyards should be enough for now. I have built a schooner over here, which we will use to move the grapes to the main island. So let's create a trade route now. Just like that. So just to be sure, I'm going to build one more vineyard because eventually we will need it anyway. So let's start producing it right away. Back to the main island. Over here we are gonna build the champagne cellar, and ideally it should be next to the glassmakers to make sure that we are producing enough glass and of course enough sand as well. So let's check the production tab. We can see that we are underproducing on glass, so we will need to make one more factory. And let's see if we have enough sand. That's also underproduced, so let's build one more sand mine. Now we have everything needed to produce the champagne. And as you can see, we are producing 3 tons per minute, and that comes because of the trade union and our friend Ferras. Once you provide champagne to your investors, you need to upgrade a few engineers until you have 750 investors, and then you will unlock the cigars. You can buy cigars from Madame Kaina. They are a bit expensive, but your balance should be high enough at this point to afford them. And from now on, the more investors you have, the more money you're gonna make, so buying cigars should not be a problem at all. Another way to get cigars is to produce them yourself in the new world. I will use a stamp here to show you how big the production chain is. I'm not gonna buy cigars and also not gonna produce them because I have a very useful item that I can place in the town hall. Once we build the members club and our investors have access to it, this item is gonna make sure that they are getting cigars as long as they're in the range of the town hall as well, the big blue circle. So let's place the item in the town hall. At the moment he ain't gonna do anything because we do not have the members club yet. But once unlocked and placed near the investors, they will get cigars just for free. You need 750 investors to unlock the cigars and 750 for the members club. So once you place your members club down and cigars are unlocked, they're just gonna get them for free, as I said. I've upgraded a few engineers to investors, just enough to unlock the members club. So let's go ahead and build it. And this is actually all the materials that you will be needing. But once you get to this point, you normally gonna have everything needed. Let's build the members club over here. And as I said earlier, since we have the members club, we get the cigars for free. You may wonder where I get these items from, so I'll show you quickly. You go to the title screen and then you click on Grand Gallery. And once you're there, you click on top on items, and here is where you can buy them, but you will need golden tickets for. And how you get golden tickets, I'm gonna explain later in the video because it has to do with the investors. Another way to earn golden tickets is by completing the scenarios. If you don't have any DLCs, there will be only one scenario available, and once you complete it and get all the achievements, you will not be able to get more golden tickets. But don't worry, there is another way, and I'm gonna explain this later. The next thing your investors gonna need is chocolate. You can produce chocolate in the new world, but you will need a certain amount of obreros before you unlock it. Obreros are actually the next stage of jornaleros, and they are also the last possible upgrade. Okay, back to the old world. As I said, we need chocolate, but actually we can also buy that from Madame Kahina, and that is actually not so expensive to buy, so let's do that. Let's build one schooner and set the trade route from Madame Kahina to our main island. We will need to upgrade more engineers to investors, then more artisans to engineers, and so on and so on. You gotta make sure that you always have enough workforce. Since we have the commuter pier on our main island and we have one on the second island, we can actually build farmers and upgrade them to workers on the second island. The commuter pier is very useful because it combines your workforce across all your islands as long as you build a commuter pier on every island that you own. At some point you will move all your farmers, workers and artisans to your second or third island, and you're gonna have only the engineers and investors on the main island. At least this is how I do it every time. Eventually we're gonna upgrade all the artisans to engineers, and on the second island we're gonna upgrade workers to artisans, if that makes sense. I don't have a lot of space on this island, but I think that it will be just enough. If it's not enough, we can always build a commuter pier on the third island and build even more houses over there. This means that the workforce of all three islands will be combined together. Let's make sure that our schooner is buying the chocolate from Madame Kahina. We don't need it right now, but I like to buy it before I even unlock it, just because we're gonna have a decent amount of it stockpiled. Let's upgrade a few engineers to investors now. Always make sure you have enough engineers before you upgrade to investors. For now I have plenty, but we will get to a point where we will need to upgrade some artisans to engineers. And of course we will need artisans on the second island, so we will need to expand over there as well. Let's actually prepare and build some more farmers over here. Let's make sure they have access to the market and the pub. And around them we can actually build more houses. And of course, we need to make sure that they have all the needed products, so we will need to build a few buildings to provide enough. Since we have enough farmers, let's upgrade some of them to workers, because eventually we're gonna need the workers anyway. And another tip that I have for you is if you wonder if all the buildings have access to the needed buildings like the pub and the marketplace, you can check that by clicking on the upgrade button. This will show you an arrow on top of the buildings that do have access. Like for example, this one here at the end does not have access to something, and this is why it cannot be upgraded yet. You can actually see here that it does have access to the market, but it's just a little bit too far away, and this is preventing it from being able to be upgraded. And the pub is also far away. The pub is not so important, it's the marketplace that's important, and the marketplace is the building that you need to have access to in order to upgrade the building further. Let's upgrade these farmers to workers. Now we need to build the church. We have an explosion somewhere, so let's see. Okay, we can rebuild the building immediately. And let's see what else we need. A few more engineers need to be upgraded to investors in order to unlock the chocolate. So let's do that. And that should be actually enough. So let's see. And there we go. We have unlocked the chocolate. Now, an interesting thing is that we are actually providing jewelry to the investors without even having the needed factories and materials for that. Normally you need to farm gold in the new world and pearls. Pearls you can buy and the gold you can buy also from the traders. But yeah, this is really expensive if you want to buy it instead of go farm for it. And then you need to build the goldsmith and the jewelry factory in order to provide jewelry. Now we do not do that. We don't even have unlocked the gold in the new world in order to farm it. This is how the gold deposit looks like. It's just like the iron deposit, and I believe you need obreros in order to farm gold in the new world. The reason why we have jewelry on the island without even producing it is again because of the items in our town hall. Residents with a bank need fulfilled are provided with pocket watches and jewelry, very expensive products which you can simply get for free if you use the correct items in your town hall. For me personally, these are the three items that you should need to have in your town hall. They will provide basically half of the products that your population is gonna need. So make sure you have them and put them in your town hall. Once again, make sure that all your buildings are in the range of your town hall, because as you can see here, I have a few that are not, so they will not get the pocket watches, the jewelry, they will not get rum and all this cool stuff just because they are outside of the range. So make sure they are in the range of your town hall, otherwise they will not benefit. Okay, we will need 3000 investors in order to unlock the gramophones. Gramophones are optional, you don't need to provide them, but if you do, they are going to make your investors more happy and you will earn some money from that. Now I'll go ahead and upgrade some artisans to engineers and some engineers to investors. until I get 3000 investors, and eventually I'll need to build on this island as well. So once I'm done, we will continue. Alright guys, I have reached 3000 investors and unlocked the gramophones. Again, gramophones are optional, so you don't need to provide that. The next and last thing that we're gonna unlock is the steam carriages at 5000 investors. Now I'm gonna show you how I managed to upgrade all these buildings and get to 3000 investors. I had to upgrade my artisans to engineers, and on the second island I had to upgrade workers to artisans, and of course I also had to build more farmers. As you can see, I am actually not producing anything that they need on the second island just because I do not have enough space for everything. What I actually did was import the needed goods from the main island to the second one and kept producing everything on the main island. I have set some trade routes here. For example, this ship is bringing over bread, sausages and soap. This is what my workers and artisans are needing. And I also have a trade route for the fur coats and sewing machines. A very important thing to point out is that every time you set a trade route and move goods from one island to another, you need to make sure that you set a minimum stock limit on your main island so that your ships do not bring all the goods to your second island. And what I mean by this is the following. By using the slider and setting it around the half, we basically say to the system, keep half of the products that we have in our stock, and the rest, which is above, we can bring to another island, or we can even go and sell it. If you don't do that, your residents that are still on the main island will not have the goods that they need, for example, soap, and all the soap will be transported to the other island, which is something that you don't want. So it's very important every time you set a trade route to set a minimum stock limit for the goods that you want to keep on that first island in order to, provide it to the residents that are still on this island. And this you need to do for every product that you're gonna export to another island, or you're gonna sell. For example, here the sewing machines, I'm also exporting them to the second island, but I set a minimum stock limit to them as well, so that I still keep some on my main island. What I also had to do is bring over some materials from the main island, because I do not have a clay deposit, for example, over here, and I'm not planning on building factories for the steel beams, so I brought everything needed from the main island, which is perfectly fine. This is basically how I did it, and every time I had to check if I have enough workforce, enough engineers, enough artisans, and if not, I went to the second island and upgraded some buildings over there in order to have enough on the main island to upgrade. As you see, I am upgrading now a few houses to investors, and now I don't have enough engineers, so I need to upgrade artisans. Eventually my artisans are going down, so I go to the second island and upgrade some workers here to artisans just to keep everything balanced. And you may notice that by doing this on your main island, you will start to overproduce some things, like for example sewing machines, bread, fur coats, but ideally you should not stop them buildings producing it, because again we are importing these goods to the second island and we will need them there. We will also need it on the main island, but as you see that you're overproducing on something, it's okay. That's perfectly fine. If you have built all these buildings on the second island and you're providing everything there, then over here on the main one, you can just stop the buildings and or even delete them. And what I mean by that is actually if you move all your farmers, workers, and artisans to your second island, for example, on the main one, you don't gonna need fish anymore. So you can go and delete all these fisheries. For example, you don't gonna need schnapps. You can stop producing schnapps and or maybe produce just enough to export to the second island. but you get the point. Now let's go back to Gramophones. This is actually what we unlocked. And I was very wrong when I was making this video to buy them from Sir Archibald. I did not pay attention how expensive they actually are. And I went from 9 million to half a million in just a few minutes. So do not buy them because they are really expensive. If you want to provide them, just go ahead, build all the factories needed and start producing them. As you can see, 27,000 for only 1 ton. This is insane amount of money. And your money is gonna go down very quickly if you do that. So do not buy gramophones from Sir Archibald. The next thing that we will unlock at 5,000 investors will be the steam carriages. So I'm gonna go ahead and do what I was doing earlier, upgrade some workers to artisans and then to engineers. After that, upgrade them to investors. And I will be doing that until I reach 5,000 investors. And most probably we're gonna move most of the artisans to the second island. So when I'm done with that, we will continue. I just forgot to mention that I will also need to stop the electricity for the industrial buildings and build a power plant next to the second town hall because my engineers will need electricity in order to be upgraded to investors. And I will do that because simply I don't have enough oil on this island. So, but it's gonna be fine, trust me. Alright guys, I've built a power plant next to the town hall so that my engineers and investors have electricity. I've upgraded some engineers to investors and almost all of the artisans are moved to the second island now. And at this point, I actually saw that it's not a good idea to buy the gramophones, so I stopped the trade route and I'm simply not providing gramophones to anyone. So I've unlocked the Steam carriages, but I am not a big fan of them. For me personally, if you're playing without the High Life DLC, they are also optional. Yes, you're gonna earn money by providing them and the population is going to grow even more. But have a look here what you actually need in order to build them. Of course, if you want, you can always build all the needed factories, import the material, the caoutchouc actually from the new world, and eventually provide the steam carriages. But as I said, for me, at this point is optional. I prefer to build and upgrade more engineers to investors than having to do all this just to get my population up. Now here comes the fun part. We can actually build the World's Fair. This is a huge building and it's built in 5 stages, in 5 phases, in which you will need different materials. You will need different amount of workforce. I believe when we start, we need farmers, like 1,000 farmers and a few materials. And then phase two will be no, this is actually phase one, what you see here, and phase two will be the farmers, but I will show you in a second. And this is actually the building where you're gonna earn the golden tickets from. And once we build it, I'm gonna show you what exactly you need to do in order to farm golden tickets because you can basically farm them. Oh, and I just forgot to mention that you don't need 5,000 investors to start building the World's Fair, but you need 5,000 for the last phase and you also gonna need electricity. But as you can see on the street over there, we do have electricity, so it will be okay. Okay, we finally have enough materials to build this building, but the only thing we don't have is the workforce, so we will need to actually build more farmers on the second island, and I've already started here as you can see, but we will need more, so let's do that first. Alright, we have more than 500 farmers now. Let's go ahead and build the foundations. So this was phase one, and for phase two, now you can see we need those 500 farmers, and we need timber and some cement. So let's go ahead and start this phase. It takes around 30 minutes, but just because we have speed up the time. It's gonna take less. So once this is done, I will be back and we can continue to the next phase. I actually forgot to mention that you need a small warehouse next to your World's Fair, because all the needed materials are gonna be transported from there directly to the World's Fair. Now, as you can see, the materials are coming from the harbor, from the trading post, but this is a little bit too far away. So ideally, you should build a small warehouse close or just in front of the World's Fair so that the materials can get transported quickly. Alright, phase 2 is completed, so we can click on finish phase. And the next thing that we're gonna need is 1000 workers and a few materials. This phase is not so hard actually. The last two phases of the World's Fair building are actually the most difficult ones, because you will need to import some goods from the new world, but I will show you in a minute. Alright, I'm gonna upgrade some houses here just to have 1000 workers. For now, they are not enough, and I made the mistake to start it, but that's fine. So we will need to upgrade a few more farmers to workers, and then we can start the phase 3 actually. So let's do that. And of course, now we don't have enough farmers, so I'll need to build more houses. But you get the point. It's the same thing over and over. You have to make sure that your population is balanced, that you have enough workforce for everything, every building that needs it, and eventually expand to the point where you get to investors and build the World's Fair. For me personally, once you get there without DLCs, the game is over. You can still play and you can go on expeditions. You can go and build on other islands. And what you actually also can do is, okay, we start here the third phase, but what you actually can do is go to other islands, build up all the way up to investors, and build another World's Fair, because you're limited to only one per island. Now I actually need to settle on a new island because I need caoutchouc, which I don't have on the first island in the new world, and I will need 300 tons of it. So I'm gonna build one small village over there and start farming it. And I'm also gonna need wood veneers, which are actually unlocked once you reach 1000 obreros. And once you reach 1000 obreros, you will unlock the cigars. And by unlocking the cigars, you will automatically unlock the wood veneers factory, which you will need. Actually, you need to build it earlier than I have done here, but yeah, for this guides, I was trying to do everything as quick as possible and make the videos as short as possible, although it's not really possible. To make it even easier, you can purchase the Docklands DLC, which will let you actually trade some goods that you're overproducing. It doesn't matter what you're overproducing, it can be potatoes, it can be work clothes, whatever. You can trade that for certain goods that you need, and by doing that, you don't need to import them from uh, the from the new world. I have three DLCs. One of them is Bright Harvest, Docklands, and the High Life. For me, they are actually the game changers, and this is why I bought only them. You can, of course, buy all of the DLCs and have some fun with them. There are also other regions. If you get bored by doing only this and going to the new world, there are also DLCs with new regions, new expedition, and so on and so on. Okay, I'm gonna start building in the new world while the phase 3 is still going on. I'm gonna build everything that I need, and when I get all the materials and bring them over to the old world, to the main island, we can continue with phase 4. So phase 3 is completed. Let's go ahead and finish it. And for phase 4, we need some windows. some motors and wood veneers, which we need to import, and also 1500 artisans. Artisans are actually not so hard to get, so I'm gonna go on the second island and upgrade some workers to artisans. In the new world, I am producing the needed materials, so I am slowly actually I bought a new ship, a bigger one with 6 slots, and I'm gonna transport the goods with it. And on my first island here, the wood veneers are being produced. So once I have 150, I'm gonna bring them over to the main island so we can start phase 4. But for phase 4 we need 1500 artisans, so I'm gonna focus on that, and once I have everything we will continue. Okay, my ships have just arrived from the new world with the needed resources, so we're gonna unload them and start phase 4. The caoutchouc we're gonna need for phase 5, but I'm gonna unload them as well. Okay, everything is ready, so let's go ahead and start. And again, after 30 minutes, we will continue. Alright, phase 4 is completed, so let's have a look at what we need for phase 5. So we need 2000 engineers, we will need 300 filaments, which I don't have at the moment, and we need 300 caoutchouc, which I normally brought 300 and 6 are missing. I don't know why, but that's not a big deal because I have more on my island in the new world. So I will just load whatever I have here in the new world to the ship, and I'm just gonna bring it over to the main island so that we can continue. Actually, in order to move a ship from one region to another, from the new to the old world, for example, you click on this icon and you choose the city where you want your ship to go to. And once it arrives there, you will get notified. So for the filaments, we will need more factories. I'm gonna build one more here because what I have at the moment is simply not enough. As you can see, I have 0 because all my production is going for the light bulbs and they are uneven, so that's why we don't have, and we need 300 plus in order to start phase 5. And we're also gonna need engineers. I have upgraded almost all my workers here to artisans so that we can upgrade them further to engineers. So let's go ahead and do that and see if we actually gonna have enough. Our ship with the remaining materials has arrived, so we'll unload them. And let's see, we are almost there. We just need the engineers and the filaments. That's gonna take a while, so I think I'm gonna build more factories to speed it up. Alright, we finally have enough filaments to start the last phase and actually build the building. We have electricity as well, so we can hit start, and we'll have to wait another 30 minutes before we can actually start farming our golden tickets. Alright, the phase is completed. We can finally build this huge building, and now I'm gonna explain how to farm the tickets. So you need to start the anniversary exhibition. You need at least 5,000 investors in order to start that. You can go actually all the way up to 10,000, which is better because you'll get more golden tickets. And the problem that I have here is actually the coffee, which is not enough, but I have already built more coffee plantations and I'm waiting for the coffee to arrive. So yeah, once we have coffee, and also champagne is a problem, and then we're gonna have enough investors actually to start the exhibition. As you can see, they're already growing up. So we get to 5,000 in a second. Okay, it costs 25,000 to start it. And as you can see, you need different kinds of materials, different kinds of products actually. And once you deliver this to your World's Fair, you need to wait 10 minutes and then you can collect your reward. We actually don't have the plantains on our main island, so I'm just gonna buy a ship and I'm gonna bring some over to the main island so that we actually can give that to the exhibition, and we can then collect our reward. If you manage to give all the needed products, then you can choose the highest reward. So let's bring over 100 tons, and then we will send the ship to the main island. And I hope we have enough time actually to provide this to the exhibition. Farming golden tickets this way is actually not easy. You ain't gonna get much. So what you can do is, if you can purchase the Docklands DLC, I will do that for sure, because then you can exchange goods. For example, now I need plantains. I could just exchange some potatoes for plantains, and this way I would always have whatever I need. And what you also can do is later on go to other islands and build more world fairs, and this way you're gonna speed up actually the farm of your golden tickets. Our ship made it to the main island, so we're gonna unload the plantains, and they will get delivered to the World's Fair, to the exhibition. And once this is done, then we'll need to wait 10 minutes before we can collect our reward. Okay, so the plantains are delivered. As you can see, we have unlocked the highest reward, so we need to wait 10 minutes now, and then we can collect it. Okay, we are ready to collect our reward. So let's see what we get. We can choose the highest reward, and let's see. You see, we get 10 golden tickets. We get some ornaments and one item. The different exhibitions give different rewards, but only the anniversary exhibition will grant you golden tickets. This item is actually not bad. As you can see, you get 1 ton of chocolate every 5 cycles, and you get that from the bakery. So if you have a trade union around your bakery and you place this item in, you're gonna get chocolate without even having to produce it yourself. Like really early in the game, because you can also buy this item from the prison if you're lucky. So it's a very nice item, yeah. If you can't find your trade union immediately because you overbuilded everything, you can simply click on building a new one, and it will show you actually where all your trade unions are located, all these blue circles. So yeah, that's an easy way to find your trade unions. I have placed the item now inside the trade union, and every bakery will give me 1 ton of chocolate every 5 cycles, and the chocolate is welcome because we need it for our investors. And as you can see, you can buy this item from the prison. You don't need to spend your golden tickets, if possible, to buy it from the title screen. You can just buy it from the prison. Alright guys, this will be it for this series. We have reached investors, we kept them happy, and eventually we built the World's Fair. If you have watched the entire playlist and all 5 parts, you are a legend, and I really want to thank you for that. It means a lot to me. Feel free to leave a comment and give some feedback. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video.